Welcome back, everyone. Please join me in a round of applause for Katica Reljanović, who will tell us more about the VAT application in Yacht Charter. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As Maya said, my name is Katica Reljanović. I am a certified tax advisor from Split, Croatia. I don't know if you are aware that there are only 80 certified tax advisors in Croatia, and I am one of only 6 in Split. So Split is the second largest city in Croatia, I think you know that, and I'm only one of 6 of them. Also, one fun fact which Nadia told me a couple of minutes ago, I am one of only maybe a couple of other presenters which have presented all 4 years at the MMK Booking Summit. So I know some of you, and some of you have maybe even been listening to me for all 4 years. What will I be talking about today? So don't expect me to do all the jumping circles and hyping what you've been doing all these days up until this moment, because I think most of you think that taxes are boring, don't you? But taxes are not boring, at least from my point of view. Taxes require lots of reading. Is that interesting? Lots of exploring, research. Nobody interested yet? But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make you imagine. So we're going to go sailing. Can you imagine we're going sailing and staying here? And talking about VAT? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to improvise that we're going sailing, and we're going to define where's the point of taxation. But we're going to do that a little later on. Okay, so let's go back to the topic. What is my topic today? It's VAT OSS. Does anybody know what the abbreviation OSS means in VAT terms? Anybody? Anybody here from the accounting or tax world? No. So nobody ever heard about one-stop shop? Okay, you have heard, Maya. Okay, so just don't tell me that you know what that it means, oh so sweet. So this morning when I was preparing for my presentation, I wanted to see what OSS also means. And it means oh so sweet. So I don't know if somebody wrote me that in an email or a text, I'd maybe misunderstand and think that you're talking to me about the VAT one-stop shop. So what is the VAT one-stop shop? The purpose of it is to make something, remember, more simple and more faster. When has it become active? From the 1st of July last year. So since the 1st of July last year, in all of the EU countries, we have this one-stop shop, which anybody can use. But we will see how we can use this for your yacht charter activity. So as I said at the beginning, taxes include lots of reading. What should you be reading in my case? The Council Directive, VAT Directive, we call it, informally, from 2006. Of course, it's been updated, amended, and so on up to all these years. However, it was not clear enough. So the EU Council made this implementing regulation in 2011, and it also has been amended up to today. The EU issued a guide to the VAT one-stop shop in March 2021, just before it became applicable in July last year. Before we start speaking about the one-stop shop and how we can use it in our industry here, you have to be able to define the place of supply of your services. So what is the place of supply for yacht charter activities? When we speak about that for VAT terms, we have to be able to define short-term hiring and long-term hiring. So do you know the difference between short-term and long-term hiring of boats? What is the time period when we are talking about short-term hiring and long-term hiring? Yes, okay. So short is less than 90 days, long-term is longer than 90 days. And that is equal in all of the EU countries. So it is prescribed in the EU VAT directive we talked about at the beginning. Where is the place of taxation when we provide our yacht charter services to non-taxable persons? Do you know that? And it is the same, if we are providing the services for a short-term or a long-term period. Where is the place of taxation? Yes, of course. So where you put the boat, in charter. So that was not clear enough again in the directive. So the EU had to clear it up, and it wrote that in its regulation, that it's a place where the person takes physical possession of the boat. So remember that. If your boat starts sailing from Marina Kaštela, the place of taxation is Kaštela, actually Croatia. So remember this, because we will need these terms through my whole presentation today. And one important notice is that the one-stop shop can be used only in conditions when you provide services to non-taxable people. If you provide services to taxable persons, then the one-stop shop cannot be used. But in most cases, you are providing your services to physical, natural persons. Okay, so this is the fun part. We're going to imagine. What are we doing? A Croatian charter company called Croatia Sailing Experience DO is hiring its vessel Memory to a customer, a non-taxable person, from France on 20th of August 2023. So next year we're going sailing for a 15-day period. The customer will embark in Bari, Italy. Where is the place of supply? Can you please help me? Italy, why? Yes, and the client is a non-taxable person. So first of all, the client is a non-taxable person from France. It doesn't matter where the client is from. It's embarking from Bari in Italy, and it's a short-term period. 15-day period is shorter than the 90 period we said. And what would the Croatian taxable person, charter company, have to do in Italy from your point of view in order to pay VAT in Italy? Do you know? Sorry? Yes, that is a correct answer, but this is where one-stop shop comes into use. And we can skip this being registering, but we will go through this later on. But the answer, and the only correct answer up to the 1st of July last year, was what Paško said: we'd have to register for Italy, for VAT purposes in Italy. Now we have almost the same situation, but we have a company from Montenegro. Montenegro Sailing DO is hiring its vessel Sunshine to a customer, a non-taxable person from Germany, on 20th of August 2023 for a 45-day period, embarking also from Bari, Italy. Where is this place of supply? Yes, again. So, again, we have a non-taxable person, a short-term period, it's less than 90 days, and the place of supply is, as we said, where the boat starts from. What would be the answer? What does the Montenegrin company have to do in order to pay VAT in Italy? As we said, that the place of supply is Italy. Paško? Yes, it is, but the answer would be, Paško, what you said.
Yeah, obviously one-stop shop, which I'm sorry I missed the introduction.
Okay,
so.
we didn't get into all details on the one-stop shop,
okay.
so don't worry, you didn't miss anything important.
Sorry, thank you.
So the answer would be what Paško said for the Croatian company in Italy, the same. So the Montenegrin company would have to register in Italy for VAT purposes. But now we have the one-stop shop. And neither the Croatian or the company from Montenegro doesn't have to register in Italy for VAT purposes. But again, it has to pay VAT in Italy. How can it do that? So this is where we start using the one-stop shop. So, as I said, and Paško said, one option is that you register for VAT purposes in the company where you put the boat into use. The other option is a one-stop shop. Remember, this is new from the 1st of July 2021. One-stop shop, remember, should be something more simple and more faster. What you have to remember is the use of one-stop shop is not something that you're obliged to do. You can choose to use it. But if you choose to use it in one country of the European Union, you have to use it in all of the countries of the European Union. So if we go back to our example, if this Croatian company uses the one-stop shop in this case, because the boat is sailing from Italy, if it would choose to put the boat in France and start selling from France, it would also have to use the one-stop shop in France. It could not combine using one-stop shop in Italy and registering for VAT purposes in France. So that is one thing you have to remember. Okay, who is a taxable person? In your case, it would be the company who is providing charter services. From our examples and what we saw up until now, we saw that companies from both other EU countries and non-EU countries can use the one-stop shop. So we saw the Montenegrin company and the Croatian company. What is the difference? Of course, the EU company is a company that is established in the European Union. So the Croatian company went sailing to Italy, to another European Union country, and can use the one-stop shop in all other countries of the European Union, but cannot use the one-stop shop in Croatia. So you can use it in all other countries, but not the country it is registered in. What about non-EU countries and companies from those countries? They can use the one-stop shop in either country of the European Union. So that is the difference. But the difference now again for companies from the European Union and from the non-European Union is that they have to have a state of identification. So what is this state of identification? It is a state where all these companies will be submitting their VAT reports for this one-stop shop. The difference is that a company from the European Union can only it can't choose its member state of identification. It is the country from where it is. So our Croatian company, which is going sailing in Italy, has to be identified in Croatia. While the Montenegrin company can choose which country of the European Union they want to register for the one-stop shop. So it doesn't even have to be Italy where they are sailing. It can be any country they choose. That is the difference. What is the member state of consumption? That is the state, the country, European Union country, where the service has been provided. We said at the very beginning that the place of consumption for your services, your charter services, is where you're putting the boat, giving the boat to the customer. So that is the country of consumption. Of course, again, the non-EU company can have any other EU country as its member state of consumption because it can come sailing to any other EU country and use the one-stop shop. While companies from other EU countries can use the one-stop shop only in other countries of the European Union, not in the one where they are registered. Because in the countries where they are registered, they will use the normal VAT procedure in their country. Only in other countries of the European Union, they can use the one-stop shop. Okay, so now the question is, how can we start using this one-stop shop? Of course, we have to register electronically. I know how it looks like in Croatia. When you enter the tax authority's website, there's one part where you can just register for it. It's simple actually. You just choose why you have to register because you are providing services in another EU country. And then you wait a couple of days. According to the law, it's 8 days. They have an 8-day period to register you, and you start using it. You get your own PINs, access it, and now the whole procedure starts. Countries from non-EU countries, they have a bit longer procedure because, of course, they have to choose the country they want to register in, and they have to submit a bit more documents, of course, than us from the European Union. Companies from EU have their VAT numbers, you know that. We in Croatia have the HR and our OIB 11-digit number. I don't know, Spanish company have the ES and their numbers. Austrians 80 and then their numbers. For the one-stop shop, you will not be assigned a new number. You will use your own number you have in Croatia, Spain, France, wherever. However, companies from the non-EU countries, in our case, the Montenegrin company, they will be assigned an EU VAT number. So when you see an EU VAT number, know that they are using the one-stop shop. Now I suppose you are wondering, when do you have to register to start using the one-stop shop? In our case, if you remember the date, I said it was the 25th of August 2023 that we're going sailing in Italy. When do you think you have to register to be on time to start using the one-stop shop? how earlier do you have to register? Any idea? It has to be quite early, and actually I was a bit stunned when I started doing this research. You have to register at least before the quarter in which you are starting sailing. So in our case, we started sailing on the 25th of August, which means that we would have to register before the beginning of that quarter, and that's the third quarter, July, August, and September. So we would have to register latest until the 30th of June, 2023, in order to start using the one-stop shop. If, of course, there is an exemption, if you maybe do not know that your clients will go sailing from Italy, France, Spain, wherever, you can use the one-stop shop again, of course, but in that case, you would have to let the tax authorities of that country know that you have started sailing from that company at least 10 days from the end of that month when you are sailing in that country. Then again until the 30th, yes, until the 30th of June, yes.
So we can 1 day and that's enough.
But take in mind that it will take some time for you to register. So I would recommend you would start a bit earlier, but latest 30th of June. For the European countries, it would be no problem, because you would just enter this web portal and register. But from the non-EU countries, start earlier, because they won't manage to do that in 1 day for sure. Now I'm asking you a question, which I wondered when I was doing my research. What if my clients don't tell me on time that they want to sail from Italy and so on? I don't have time to use the one-stop shop. I forgot, let's say, that I can do that in a 10-day period. What else? What should I then do? Okay, Paško. You, Paško, gave actually the correct answer at the very beginning. You should register for VAT purposes in that country. No, it doesn't take less, and that's why I was wondering. So it doesn't take less, as Paško said, and the problem is, at least in Croatian VAT law, it says that you have to register for VAT purposes at least 8 days before you start providing the services. So how can, if I've skipped all of these deadlines, register? But that's what it says on the official EU VAT websites. Okay, one question now. If you use the one-stop shop and start sailing from Italy, let's say, would you have to issue an invoice for that service? It says no, yes. But do you think that that's the correct answer? Yes, so it is correct, because in these VAT guidelines and in these amendments of the VAT directive, it does say you don't have to issue an invoice. Why is that correct? Because if you remember what I said at the beginning, the one-stop shop should make something more simple and faster. In this case, it will be more simple for you not to issue an invoice, okay, of course. Because what would you have to do if you would have to issue an invoice and you're a Croatian company and you're sailing from Italy? What would the invoice look like? Yes, okay, that's the answer, correct. You would have to check with somebody in Italy to tell you how their invoice looks like. So it doesn't have to have all the same elements as it has in Croatia. And of course, the problem is that you have to state Italian VAT on the invoice. And that's why the one-stop shop is a bit more simple. But of course, the one-stop shop one minus from my point of view is this again. You have to know the VAT rules in Italy. So making the invoice is not such a problem at the end. But if you do choose to issue an invoice, which rules do you have to apply? The rules of the member state of identification. So the Croatian company would issue an invoice according to the Croatian rules, and the Montenegrin company would issue an invoice according to which country? Okay, great. Okay, so we said that we don't have to issue invoices, but do we have to run any records? Okay, so it's not that simple, of course. I won't be reading all of this, but this is the prescribed these are the prescribed elements of these records which we have to keep according to the EU VAT directive. And how long do you have to keep them? We have to keep them for at least 10 years. And remember that you have to keep them regardless of whether you have maybe even stopped using the one-stop shop. So don't throw these records away. Yes, this is something unique defined in the EU VAT directive. So everything is the same. If there's something different in Croatia, I will be pointing this out. Okay, so what do? We have registered. We know that we don't have to issue invoices. We know that we do have to keep some records. And what is the process now? We have to submit this one-stop shop record. And how do we do that? So as I said, you register electronically, you get your own PIN, access it, and now you have to fill all these tables, which open up in this portal. You have to do this electronically. And what is the point here? That when you open this portal, you will see that you can choose every country of the European Union and every VAT rate in each country of the European Union. And then you choose, first of all, the country, then the VAT rate in that country, and then you write the VAT basis, the VAT amount, and the total amount. And that's the way you do it, country by country. You submit that until when? You submit it actually quarterly. So for each quarter, you send the report. And these are the deadlines here. Sorry? Yes, in this portal.
Is it the same for all the countries? Or
No, the portal is not the same in every
okay,
country.
So it's different per country.
Yes, the point is the same, but every country has its own portal. Okay, so the deadline is 30 days actually until the end of the next month following the end of the quarter. Okay, so what do you have to state in this report you submit? I already said. So the difference only between the non-EU and EU scheme is that we have to submit our VAT number, so the HR and so on, and they use the EU VAT number, which they have. And here's the difference, Maya. All of the countries and the EU VAT directive says that you have to submit all the amounts in euro. What is the official currency in Croatia still at the moment? Kuna, yes. So in Croatia, companies using the one-stop shop, so all the other companies coming from either other EU countries or non-EU countries, using the one-stop shop here in Croatia, submit their reports in kunas. And we, Croatian companies going sailing around, they also submit the reports in kuna. And now there's a whole philosophy of which exchange rate you should use. So it's not the middle exchange rate of the Croatian National Bank, it's actually some middle exchange rate of the European National Bank and so on. But hopefully, not hopefully, Croatia is changing its currency from the 1st of January 2023. So it will be in euros also in Croatia. And be sure not to miss my presentation tomorrow. So we'll go through all these changes which will happen tomorrow, which will happen on the 1st of January 2023 when Croatia is entering the Eurozone. Okay, so how will you be paying this amount of VAT which you have defined in this report you have submitted? So you've entered all the countries, all their VAT rates, all the amounts of VAT, and you've submitted the report. Now you have to make the VAT payment. What do you think? Do you have to pay every country separately? Or you pay only one amount for all the countries for which you have been sailing in? Yes, great, Majo. And what I said at the beginning, it has to be simple and quick. So if we say it's simple, it's easier for us to pay it only in one country. And that is the point. So all of us using the one-stop shop in Croatia will be paying it only in kunas, in one amount. And then the Croatian tax authorities, based on this report which we have submitted, will send the money to all the other tax authorities. Okay, when do we have to pay this VAT? We have to pay it at least until the end, at least until the deadline for submitting the report. So we said it's until the end of the month following the end of the quarter. When you do this, you get this unique reference number. Don't forget this unique reference number because you will need this number to make the payment. One bad side of the one-stop shop, even though it should be fast and simple, is that we, as companies who are sailing all over the European Union, cannot use this one-stop shop to get VAT back from those countries. So if our yacht is using berth services in this country, let's say in our case, Italy, the place of taxation of birth services is Italy. And we cannot get this VAT stated on this invoice back through the one-stop shop registration. We have to use the web portal for VAT return. So this is one minus of the one-stop shop. We can't do this because one-stop shop is just for paying VAT. It's not for VAT returns. But for non-EU companies, for our Montenegrin company, there is one good thing, even though they cannot do it also using the one-stop shop. The reciprocity condition does not have to be met. Do you know what that means? So, VAT return between EU countries is simple, more or less. But for non-EU countries, it's not that simple. Because in Croatia and in other EU countries, of course, non-EU countries can get VAT back. What they paid in Croatia, only if Croatian companies can get VAT back in their countries. At the moment, now in Croatia, there are only 2 non-EU countries which give Croatian tax obligers VAT back. That is only Serbia and Switzerland. And if we would apply this rule, only companies, charter companies from Switzerland or Serbia, if they do exist, could get back VAT in Croatia. But because this no reciprocity condition is applied, any company, so let's say this one from Montenegro, can get back VAT even though Croatian companies can not get VAT back in Montenegro. So this is one plus from the one-stop shop. However, there are companies, maybe some of you have already been registered in other EU countries because of these reasons that you've been sailing somewhere. If you already have been registered, or maybe you provide some other services that do require registration in other countries, you can get this VAT back through your VAT report you submit in that country. But remember the beginning what I said. If you choose to use one-stop shop, you have to use it in all countries. Okay, so advantages of the one-stop shop. Maya helped me very much. So what we said, it has to be simple and it has to be fast. First of all, we only have one member state which we are communicating with. We don't have 26 countries of the European Union which we are communicating with, only one country. One also good thing from these companies which are not from the European Union is that they do not have to have a tax representative. If they were to register and choose the other option, not use the one-stop shop, many countries, including Croatia, would require them to have a tax representative. And what does that mean if you're somebody's tax representative? Do you know that? No. Okay, being somebody's tax representative means that if they don't pay VAT, because they're sailing Croatia and the point of taxation is Croatia, that Croatian tax authorities will not ask them to pay VAT. They will ask you to pay the VAT. And if they use the one-stop shop, they're skipping this. They don't need a tax representative. And it is said in the directive that none of the member states may not require any of these companies from these non-EU countries who have a tax representative. Okay, so this we also said. We only make one payment of the VAT and submit only one report. So no matter how many countries we are sailing in, we only submit one VAT report and make one payment. And then the member state of identification splits all these amounts to different VAT of all the other countries of the European Union. Also, you communicate only in one language. If you choose Croatia, you only have to know Croatian. If you choose Spain, you only have to know Spanish. Nobody will ever ask you anything in Croatian if you're, let's say, sailing from Spain in Croatia. However, I can't say they won't ever ask you, because of course, if you will not pay this VAT and so on, of course, the Croatian tax authorities will contact the Spanish tax authorities, and then they will contact you. What would be the disadvantages? We already said this one. You cannot use the one-stop shop to get the VAT back from these countries. You have to apply through a different portal, the VAT return portal, to use and get this VAT back. And this is one thing which I added on my own, honestly, and I think it is quite complicated for you as charter companies to use the one-stop shop. Why do I think this? because you have to know everything about VAT rules in all the other 26 EU member state countries. Okay, so you will not be sailing in all the countries. It's not even possible to sail in all the countries. But tell me, how will you go and sail to Italy, let's say, which we had in our example? Do you know the VAT rate for sailing in Italy? Okay, I know that they used to have the reduced rates also if they used to go sailing somewhere and so on, but that's something that I can't help you. I'm only a tax advisor in Croatia. So this means that you should find a tax advisor in Italy who would first of all tell you the tax rate and any of these simplifications which they have. And that's the same for Greece, Spain, France, whatever. Also, I would put myself in the same position if I would come to Croatia and do sailing. We all know that Croatia used the reduced rate of 13% because we say that it's accommodation service in Croatia. None of the other EU countries don't say that. So it is simple, but you have to have quite a lot of knowledge to use it, especially in your industry. It's not sales of goods where you know that the rate is 25%, 20%, and then calculate it. Well, I don't know how they would control you. Yeah, the system probably, of course, you can't use whatever rate you want. Yes, of course, it's a drop down and you choose one. But I don't know how they would control you, that why you use, let's say, in Croatia, 25% rate, or you should be using the 13%. But there is probably some control. But that's one minus, I think, especially from the point of our industry, because it's quite complicated. Of course, if we say in Croatia again, you probably are aware that if you start sailing in Croatia and enter the Montenegrin waters, then the taxation is not the same. And that is something that also people coming to Croatia should know when they are using the one-stop shop. Any more questions and answers? Martin?
Yes, the question, there is a round trip. Croatian company, Croatian boat, Croatian flag, customer take over the boat in Croatia, the place of performance is in Croatia.
Yes.
And the customer is sailing to Italy, then change the crew in Italy, but the charterer is the same, still the same, the person who take over the boat in Croatia, then go to the Greece, change the crew in the Greece, and then go back to the Croatia. Should we treat it that like one-stop shop, or we can just use the Croatian?
I think that you
place
should.
of performance is Croatia, so just the Croatian VAT and...
I think one-stop shop should be used then, if you can, or
even
register.
If the charter is the same, it means the person
as far
who
as I've done any investigation and research regarding that, all of these countries you mentioned, especially Italy, they told me that as soon as you change
the crew,
yes, that is considered
like
to be a new charter.
Even if it's by the papers,
yes.
It's 3-week charter and...
That's what they told me, so
okay.
I believe that in that case, a Croatian company could use the one-stop shop and start paying VAT in Italy and using the one-stop shop. And again in Greece, of course.
Okay, and if there is no change of crew, then it's...
Yes, just one round trip and that's it. Taxable
European...
all in Croatia with the 13% rate, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so let's make a conclusion. From your point of view, would you use the one-stop shop or would you register for VAT purposes? Register. Why are you afraid of the one-stop shop?
There's a stop sign there.
Okay. Well, I did register one of my clients for the one-stop shop, but again, I connected them with somebody in Italy because I don't know the VAT rules in Italy. I can help you submit the report, but anybody can do that. As you said, it's a drop, and you choose the VAT rate you can calculate on your own. It's really very simple. But maybe if you are already registered in some country, maybe it is easy to continue being registered than using the one-stop shop. And as I said, maybe it is more simple probably for goods than for services. So this is an operation since... 1st of July 2021, yes. Anybody using it? I didn't ask anybody. Nobody?
This that we spoke about is like rental fee, and what happens with the additional services that you provide? Like if you do cleaning, if you skipper, yeah.
Okay, so skipper services,
What to
if we
do with
provide
VAT?
them to natural persons, they always, B2C services, always taxed from where you're providing them. So you would also have to pay VAT in Italy, let's say, in our case.
So those tax.
No more questions. Thank you.
Any more questions? In Croatia? The gross amount, the total amount is 100,000, yeah.
So
Yes.
you would have to make a pro rata allocation
Yes,
of the amount
deduct the VAT included in the 100,000, yes.
based on the time spent in each country?
So, as we said in the beginning, the place of taxation, if you start from Croatia and continue, as Martin said, through any other country besides any other non-EU country, in our case that could only be Montenegro, that case, the place of taxation will remain to be Croatia only, 13%. So if you sail from Croatia to Italy and back, it's only Croatia. But if you sail from Croatia to Greece through Montenegro, then in Croatia would be VAT taxed only this part which is related to Croatia and Greece. This part through Montenegro would be not VAT taxable in Croatia. And using the pro rata, as you said, the days of taxation, as of sailing in Croatia.
So we deduct Croatian
Yes.
VAT, of course, from the
Yes.
price, and we then do pro rata and
Yes.
add Italian or whichever
Yes.
VAT is to be
Yes,
added.
whichever one, yeah. Because you know the total amount, so when you make your calculations, you should again know the VAT rates in every country so that you know how much of the 100,000 you have to give to the tax authorities of that country where you're sailing. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so these are my contact details. I'd like to use this opportunity also to say that from this year I have my own company for tax advising. The name of the company is Tax Planning Office, also new from the 1st of September this year. So anybody needing me can use these contact details now. Thank you.